you doing? Why are you flipping? What are you flipping for? Stop flipping. What's up, everybody? I'm James.
I'm Cooper.
We're a little behind. A little bit. Ooh, that's so bright. So bright. Show notes are so bright. Hey, Ryan. What's up? You thought we'd be festive tonight. Actually, no. One of us thought we'd be festive, and one of us is Cooper. Like, you're not even dressed up. You have a black shirt. And you got that dagger. I guess the dagger's from the Halloween store. I guess it sort of is festive.
I want to balance.
And look, audio and video are good, so they can see my fancy jacket. Let's not. Is it broken?
No.
Okay. All right. Come sit down. It's good. Let's do this. Let's do this. All right. So welcome to the Sunday Shadowdark Show. Tonight we're talking about horror. Actually, talking more about it's like the Halloween special. It's not really a horror conversation because I think your experience with horror is very limited to what? Mothership. And the occasional mildly scary Shadowdark game that you play in. And that's about it.
Every while.
We don't do horror that frequently. I mean, things get scary. Things get tense.
Things get scary when we're gonna lose our characters. And our characters are gonna die.
But the thing is that usually happens not from something scary, but something that is poor choices. Poor choices cause that, not horror. Which I guess poor choices are part of horror. All right. Well, the chat's open. If you want to be a part of the conversation, drop a comment in the chat. Tales from the table this week. So we had a session 0 for our new Shadowdark campaign, which is going to be taking place on Hot Springs Island. And guess what Cooper's not playing? Cooper, do you want to discuss your character with the viewers?
I want to play a bard still.
I know, but you already have a bard. But you rolled a 7 charisma. That was not a bard to be made.
Okay,
so
then I could have been
why don't you share with your viewers what you're playing?
I'm sadly a ranger.
Sadly a ranger. You have a 15 strength, a 15 con, and a 14 intelligence. It's like the perfect ranger build for an adventure that screams ranger. Hot Springs Island is like, bring us rangers. And you're like, I'm sadly a ranger. I'm so sad. Do you want to talk about your ranger at all?
I don't remember half the things about my ranger because I don't have my character sheet.
Okay, but do you remember anything about your ranger? Like maybe something you rolled when you rolled your talent up?
I rolled double
ones.
The
camera is there, child.
I rolled double ones.
Which does what? What did you roll? You rolled double ones for your talent, which does what?
I now can do 1d12 damage with a dagger.
Rangers have a talent, and perhaps a ranger show is in the future where if you roll double ones, you'll snake eyes in your talent roll. Any weapon you choose can do a d12 damage, and Cooper chose daggers. And Ryan thinks rangers are pretty great. So I think Ryan's right. I think rangers are pretty good. And you're just whining. That's what you do is you whine. We instituted a new game mode this week called Hardy. Essentially stole this from one of the optional rules from Old School Essentials. It allows you to re-roll 1s and 2s for hit points at first level, just to get away from characters that completely are just going to die in the first session because of really low hit points. I guess technically there's 2 of you in the party can heal with your ranger and the priest, but I still expect a higher death count. We also have a human priest, dwarven seer, dragonborn wizard, and a half-orc ovate. The ovate comes from Unnatural Selection, the dragonborn from Unnatural Selection, the seer from Cursed Scroll 3. So we'll see a few different characters we haven't seen before. All right, so let's move on. Yes, Jordan. This is the Disney. There is a Disney S Pumpkins jacket. Remember David Pumpkins? David Pumpkins was 8 years ago.
I was 6.
I thought this would be. I think this is well and festive. I thought this was a good look. I think this is a good look. And Mr. Stoneface here, just like sitting there, like rather be playing Overwatch right now. All right. All right. So Agri Day sent the suggestion to Halloween adventuring, and I thought we would go through his preferences on scary stuff first. I'll go first about what I find scary, horror I'm into, and then you could share your thoughts on what horror you're into, Cooper, or what scares you at the table or in fiction. I am a fan of like body horror and gross out horror. Like the more gore, the better. Saw movies, love those. Hostel, fantastic. Just tear people apart. That's always a good time. And then apocalyptic horror like the world's ending, and it's all terrible. I'm also a fan of banking horror. Did you know what a banking horror movie is?
No, but I know Eli is talking about FNAF.
Well, okay, Eli's here.
Eli wants me to talk about FNAF.
Well, I think that's a good topic for you.
I'm not discussing the entirety of the lore. I may know it, but I'm not going to do it.
So banking horror is like Too Big to Fail or The Big Short. That's banking horror. That's terrifying. Anything that's going to like destroy your 401k. Do you know what 401k is, Cooper?
Does the K stand for 1,000?
I don't think it does.
Okay, so
honestly, I don't know what K stands for in 401k. I think it's just the form. It's just the name of the form.
See, I always thought it was something about 401,000. It was unreasonably exact.
I don't think it is. Cooper, what kind of horror? If you want to talk FNAF, you can. But what kind of horror are you into?
I don't like horror movies. I mean, the only thing that scares me at the table is losing my character.
That's it. That's it. But what you don't watch anything? That's not true. What scary video games do you play? You play scary video games all the time.
If you pull up the Steam library, I can check.
Well, how about the one where you're finding ghosts and crap? Isn't that scary?
It's just more fun than scary.
All right. So Cooper finds nothing scary, which is what's wrong with this generation, right? You guys just sit there watching jump scares all day on Five Nights at Freddy's and Phasmophobia.
Okay, Phasmophobia is good.
You know what?
But it's not scary.
If nothing scares you, why haven't you played Alien Isolation yet?
I mean, I watched the movies.
Why not good enough? No, because I can't get through Alien Isolation because that's how bad the jump scares are. That jacks me up. I can't watch that.
Yeah, but I was playing that when I was trying to play that when I was like, what, 10?
When Cooper's referencing Eli, that's because my son Eli is on the chat here. Everything going on in the world, that's scary. Exactly. That's why I said banking horror is so terrifying to me. And yeah, Paul, I just can't get through. I can't play more than I find Alien Isolation scary before the alien even shows up. It's freaking me out. I'll say the one thing I don't find scary, and I think this is where I'm gonna break out a bit of my old glow burn, being what my own glow back when I used to do the glow burn podcast. I would get controversial occasionally. I do not find vampires in castles scary anymore. I'm surprised that the shtick of a vampire in a cat. Cooper, do you find vampires in castles scary? All right, there you go. So if it was a giant
dude in a castle,
it's a dude in a castle. All these Ravenloft adventures are just dudes in castles. The same dude in the castle.
They're not scary. I mean, you literally just get some garlic or a steak or the sun.
What kind of steak? What kind of steak would you use?
The wooden ones that you put in the ground.
Not like a fillet. Ooh, Ryan went right for Ravenous. That is one of my favorite horror movies. That movie's so good, and it's all about just chomping on people, just dudes eating dudes. It's so
when I was younger, I would remember when I was younger, I'd play a lot of Left 4 Dead.
Yes.
Zombie
horror.
I would literally kill them and then use the flashlight to look inside the bodies.
You see the camera there? You look at the
Yeah,
camera.
but
and
I'm
you
telling
talk.
it to
Yeah,
you.
But look at the camera and look at me there.
Yeah,
Stop
but I'm
staring
telling it
at
to
me
you.
and look at
No,
the
I'm
camera.
staring at you because you're
That's
right next to me.
But look at the camera, me, not the me.
Why?
Because no one stares at their coworker or co-person like this. This is
Because
just
half
freaking
of
me
them
out.
aren't in the same building.
Fair enough. All right. So yeah. So Ravenloft and that whole shtick. I've been Ravenloft out. So over the years. So let's talk about how to inject horror into your Shadowdark adventures. And we might share some favorite horror adventures that you can dissect and pull good things into your games. So the first is isolating characters, making it so they can't retreat, they can't get away. What do you look?
I want to see. I was trying to see if Sean was gonna message me about watching the show because I knew he was saying that he was gonna get the entire all the
Sean
people.
Who?
The one that's in the chat all the time.
Anyway,
the one that watches the shows.
So isolate the characters, isolate them so they are alone, so they can't find other people. Because if you knew, Cooper, that you could get out of a dungeon or out of a scary scene, obviously, if you could escape, not as scary, right?
We all remember what happened to Dave in that elevator.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a second. I actually put that up here. It's about Dave. What happened to Dave down here? This is that adventure right there. All right. So isolation is great. Alien isolation. See, escalating tension. Whether you're going to do it with the torch mechanic, the lighting mechanic in Shadowdark, or if you want a different mechanic. So I introduced a tension building mechanic from in my adventure I ran last week at the Runehammer store, an adventure called why I can't remember it here. It was I wrote it down. What lurks beneath the skin. There was something that happens to the characters as time goes on. And the more time goes on, the higher the chance something's going to happen. And when the players realize that something's going to happen to them, it obviously moves the story along. And then threaten the characters in ways beyond hit points. Curse them, threaten their NPCs, threaten the relationships they have, maybe letting the characters make choices to dive into evil themselves and they become the villains. And that's great when you have a really good, like, tempting main villain that's going to, just pull them into the dark side, right? Let's see. We have some examples of so Ryan said Ravenous. Paul saying new Eggers vampire movie comes out in December. I don't really watch. I don't watch any vampire movies. I remember Blade. That was a vampire movie. Actually, it's not true. So I do love vampires, but not in castles. I love vampires in Staten Island because I love what we do in the shadows, the movie, which takes place in New Zealand, and the TV show. Like, just love it. So that's the thing. That ruins vampires for me because they're just like not scary after that. You guys found vampires scary though in the first session of Crypt the Devil Lich when the vampires almost took you guys out. It was just one vampire.
You're gonna die
because he was just taking all the constitution away from Andy's character. That was great. Dave Strider from Homestuck is that a vampire? Is Dave Strider? I don't know what Homestuck is, Eli.
It's the thing that he's obsessed with.
I'm aware of that.
The web comic.
Okay, but I don't know like any of the characters from it. Oh, okay. I said Dave. The movie The Watchers was all right. It's very folklore creepy. I don't think I saw The Watchers. Was The Watchers one of the ones that the person that did The Sixth Sense? Maybe not. All right. So let's direct some people here to some good places to find horror for their Shadowdark games. And I'm going to actually refer you all to one of the very first Shadowdark things that you can have, the Game Master Quick Start Guide for Shadowdark. And you can get this for free, I believe. Not in print free, but free online in a PDF. And we gamed with this for the first several months of our game. But I'm here to say that the adventure at the back, The Lost Citadel of the Scarlet Minotaur, is a decent horror module.
Was that one of our first things? Have you ever, or have we?
I ran other people through this. You guys didn't run this. I ran other people through this. And I say, then there's some spoilers here. There's a few spoilers here. The one spoiler is I feel like you can very easily trap the characters down here in this dungeon. It's written so that you could possibly leave and come back. But I would say you can turn it into a horror adventure by trapping them down there. Pull an Ultima Underworld where they're locked down there in that maze. The second thing is it definitely escalates tension because there is on the random encounters, each time you roll in the random encounter, you apply a cumulative -2 to the result. And out of 1, the Scarlet Minotaur appears. And you're dealing with a monster that will kill a first level party. So that's the escalating tension thing right there I'm talking about. And it threatens the characters, but it threatens their hit points. But maybe every time the Minotaur attacks the party and it flees, maybe there is something left behind that just hurts. Maybe it causes damage to a stat. Maybe its horns break bones. Something. What scary is Gandhi in Civilization? I guess in the first Civilization. I guess that is not incorrect.
Gandhi's in Civilization.
It's one of the characters. I'm gonna go down this whole meme about like nuclear weapons and Gandhi and
what? Why is
it's just a long? It's a Shadowdark show. We're gonna keep talking about Shadowdark. We're gonna not worry about that. All right.
Explain this to me at some point.
So, first off, if you're looking for tips and tricks on how to run horror, I'm gonna actually point you to another I guess you could call it maybe like old school inspired, because the mechanics are easy. I'm going to point you towards a really great book for writing horror adventures. I write most of my own horror adventures, and this is the Mothership role-playing game, which it's sci-fi horror. So crap, why would I even look at that? Well, I'm referencing it because inside here, in this little box, is the Warden's Operations Manual. And I personally believe this is one of the tightest, best written examples of how to write a horror module using their Tombs system for writing horror adventure, the Tombs cycle. The Tombs cycle stands for transgression, omens, manifestation, banishment, and slumber. In Act 1, someone knowingly or unknowingly awakens the horror from its slumber. So if you're going to apply this to the Lost Citadel of the Scarlet Minotaur, just entering the maze closes off the doorway and opens allows the Minotaur to rise, but no one knows why. The omens, the Act 2, the horror heralds its arrival through signs and signals. Maybe you don't allow the Minotaur to appear right away, even if the characters roll a 1 on the random encounter chart. Maybe you see its signs of its axe, or you find that some of the other monsters have been slain by the Minotaur. Manifestation, it reveals its true form to the players. The Minotaur appears, and it's Minotaur fight, and you're dealing with this Minotaur. But find some way the characters can't defeat it, possibly. If you want to turn Lost Citadel the Minotaur from this book into true horror, find some way the characters just can't face off with it directly. Maybe its axe isn't with it. You have to reunite it with its axe. Something in there, it's going to stop it from being able to be slain easily. 4, banishment. The players race against the clock to fight back and attempt to destroy the horror. Honestly, I think the torch mechanics work for you well there because time is ticking. And then slumber. The horror relents for now. And slumber, and the Minotaur is slain, or it's stopped, but stopped for now. I did. Okay. Yes.
I thought you did 1, 2, 4, and 5.
So the whole book goes through how to write horror and prepare horror, and I really think, it's a great horror module or adventure. I think Mothership's probably it's the best written horror adventure or horror RPG in the market at the moment. Personal opinion. Ryan says, "Ooh, I'm going to tell your wife if you don't mention the Darkest House." You can tell her. I've not played through the Darkest House. I ran a one-shot with it, and it's creepy, but I don't find haunted houses scary. So I have a hard time running a horror that I like alien horror. I just don't like Lovecraft because I think it's I had a hard time with the source material. So, but yeah, Darkest House, it's a thing by the company my wife works for. So I won't get in trouble. There's a Darkest Forest thing out there. The Darkest Wood is out there right now, right? Yeah, they get the crowdfunder for. I believe me, I'm aware. I'm going to tell you something. We're going to go off topic. Are you usually aware when there's a crowdfunder going on in this house? You don't know when there's a backer kit thing going on?
I mean, I know when Mom tells me about something.
I'm aware,
and I don't care.
We know because you live through the cycle of like.
I go through this thing every day, essentially.
Yeah. So like, it's a thing. If you are married to someone in the gaming industry, you definitely know when there's a backer kit thing going on or a Kickstarter or whatever. You are well aware. And I have not even looked at the Darkest Woods. I'm sure it's creepy. And it's in the woods. I always feel like
Is it in the woods?
It's in the woods.
Is it in the woods? Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure. I always feel like the area around Darkest Dungeon would be a cool place for an RPG. Like, why is there no Darkest Dungeon RPG?
I never played Darkest Dungeon.
It's cool. It's like a roguelike, but
dark,
kind of like Final Fantasy too.
And in a dungeon.
All right. So what are some other good horror modules to pull from? Now, I have not played any other Shadowdark modules or adventures that I could say are great horror adventures. I wrote one I think is decent. I actually wrote 2 horror adventures I think are decent. One is very clearly body horror. One is I think more creepy horror, which is no, never mind. Both are body horror. Now that I think about it, a lot of adventures that I write that are horror involve skin being ripped off people. So that's an issue.
All right. I think that's
something wrong with me.
Something going on up
for
there.
Mothership. I would say great adventures to read are Another Bug Hunt, The Drain, and The Haunting of Ypsilon 14 when Dave died. That's when your character ran off by himself because
which still wasn't my fault.
You ran off by yourself
after begging the entire.
You ran
some
off by
people
yourself.
From the entire.
How do you
party.
remember? It was like 3 years ago.
Because
you can't remember what your character sheet said. You have no idea what happened.
I remember.
You don't remember.
I do. I remember I was telling everyone in the party I probably shouldn't go alone, and then everyone was like, "I'm not going up there."
Telling everyone in the party you shouldn't do this, and then doing this is.
Because I was saying I probably
shouldn't. Definition of dumb.
I say I probably shouldn't go alone.
Like 11.
But we had to go up there. And I was like, we probably shouldn't go alone. And then I go up there
because just your boots went up there.
Yeah, no one else wanted to go on there. And I remember this.
Other good horror adventures to pull from, if I can add them. First off, if you've got Shadow of the Demon Lord, there's some great, pretty creepy modules in here, or adventures in here as well. In some of the published works from theirs. Again, gross out body horror. So I have a thing. If you really want to play around with vampires, all right. And I know this has been kickstarted into different versions. I have the original still. If you really want to do vampires, I'd say get them out of the castle and put them on a train. Night Train is just a phenomenal adventure. It's a Western, but you could do like a Shadowdark train, I'm sure, or something. And then finally, highly recommend that if you want to run a sort of Diablo-esque, Witcher-esque setting for Shadowdark, you could always grab Curse Scroll 1. The gloaming in here is a very creepy, like otherworldly power infested part of the campaign. And there's a hex in there, and it's cool, you know. Ryan says, I'm with you on vampires. Eat the Reich looks cool. Is that like vampire slaying? Is it like killing Nazis? That'd be cool. You know, like just like, man, like that's a World War II vampire thing.
Call of Duty World at War.
Was there a vampire version of that? A zombie version?
But there was but the zombies had zombie. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
The zombie said zombie, yeah.
I don't want to say the word.
Okay, spoilers. All right.
What? It's not spoilers or anything. I just don't want to say the word.
All right, cool.
Those German people.
There you go. Can I not say that word?
I don't want to say the word.
What?
I don't know. I just don't like saying it.
Well, good. Don't say it. That's fine.
I know. I'm not gonna say it.
That's fine. All right. All right. So the other thing I was going to end with on this topic is a question of gauntlets and funnels that had come out once. Is do gauntlets and funnels make good horror modules? And I don't think they do. I feel like you're not invested in those characters, and it's hard to do scary when you have no skin in the game. And again, I like adventures with ripping skin off. So
there is something wrong with you that likes ripping skin off of people.
I don't like ripping skin off. I just think it's creepy. I think that's the kind of horror that is for me. All right, so there's our take on horror. We're going to get questions from the void, anything from the chat we missed, anything from previous comments, and then you can always send your questions to shadowdarksundays@gmail.com. And Ryan said the pumpkin creature and hole in the sky freaked my group out. Hole in the sky is a good adventure. I still find it scary.
Open the chat.
I people can answer. Oh, Cooper's sending into the chat.
Does that look right?
Yeah, it's fine. There we go. I'll pin it.
And it's not right. He'll figure it out.
All right.
Oh, Sean's calling me.
Well, hang on. Too bad. All right. We have questions. We're going to answer the questions.
God dang it. I knew he would do this.
What?
They're watching the show at the Halloween party.
Nice.
Look.
Is that like...
They have the show on.
Well, look.
They're all collectively watching the show.
This is... I'm sure they're all like big Shadowdark fans. They're probably like, what the heck? Why are you like on a video with your dad?
Message me back, I swear.
All right. Questions. We have a question from Ryan and a question from Brian. So Ryan's question first. And Ryan's here with us. So, good evening, gentlemen. If you haven't checked out The Count, The Castle, and The Curse, oh crap, I looked at that too, and here I am like giving shade to throwing shade at what's it called? He can't answer, dude.
I can't answer, Sean. I'm on the call. I'm on the show. Message me like a question or something. That's the section we're on.
Something or whatever, man. Like
do something.
Skibbity or something. Whatever. Look at that. Oh my gosh, that's great. Look at that. He's like, oh. All right. It's worth so The Count, The Castle, and The Curse, you're missing out. It's worth more than $1. Deep Carbon Observatory is another great setting for dark themes. I found the Madness rules and Into the Weird and Wild to be all right, but I feel mechanically they're lacking. I have Into the Weird and Wild. I don't remember the Madness rules or really playing much into them in that. However, the table provided can easily be adapted to set penalties until a restoration spell is cast on the character or some other quest is completed. Curious how you feel the Ravenloft setting. And does Cooper have any interest in running Shadowdark or DCC or any other games? Thanks for the Shadow Talk, Ryan West. All right, Ravenloft. So I jest that I'm not into the whole vampire thing, but I've done Ravenloft to death. My longest campaign ever was, and I'm gonna not go too far into this. I've said it before. 1st to 30th level, 4th edition campaign of D&D. Started in Ravenloft, but I had the characters in there as a shifter, a Goliath. It was a Dhampir Goliath, because Dhampir was like you could plop it on as a feat back then. So a shifter, a vampiric Goliath, a goblin, and a tiefling, and I threw them into Ravenloft. And the first third of the campaign was them trying to get the hell out of Ravenloft because they were being seen as monsters. So they had to deal with all of the aspects of being chased and hunted while trying to kill the real monsters at the same time. So we did all of that. And I had this crazy stack of what's it called? Vampire. Watch this. This is cool. You're gonna like this. Ready? We're gonna put user in timeout for 5 minutes.
We're putting Sean in timeout.
I just timed out that dude. There you go. Look at that.
Womp womp, Sean. This is what happens when you do these things.
Anyway, I ran a lot of Ravenloft, and we dealt with all of this stuff with Strahd, and they killed Strahd eventually, or Strahd killed one of their NPCs. So I loved my time in Ravenloft, but never plan on going back. And I, in the very brief time I dabbled with 5th edition, the very brief time I considered, I did buy Curse of Strahd in the big box set, opened it up, saw it was a paperback piece of garbage, packed it up and sent it back to Amazon. So that was like just not for me. I heard the adventure's fine. I just wasn't happy paying special pricing for like a book that's not a hardback. I thought it was kind of crap. Cooper, are you going to run Shadowdark?
No.
How about DCC?
No.
You've no desire to run a game.
Mm-mm.
There you go.
I'm getting spammed in the group chat.
Yeah, no,
that everyone at the party is in.
Well, I don't know. I guess the party's just not cool enough that they can't do stuff without spamming you. I don't know. Is it really a party?
I mean, kind of. They have the stream open, which is kind of.
I don't know why they're watching it. None of them play Shadowdark.
I mean,
so.
Sean just has the stream up half the time.
It's fine. All right.
But
sorry that I had to mute you, dude. But like, come on, man, that's not cool. There's a level of not cool. So I know we're like a small time show.
You're gonna get banned.
Come on, man.
I'm gonna ban you, Sean.
All right. Jordan had a good question here. Jordan asked, does horror need to have mechanical elements to succeed, or just story vibe for RPGs? Cooper, what do you think? Do you think you need mechanics to make something scary, or just the story?
No, just the story. Because I mean, you can run scary Shadowdark without changing anything.
You don't need to mess with mechanics much. I don't think so. And my old school Essentials game seems pretty scary because everyone keeps dying, but that's just because I think OSE teaches don't play magic users at first level because you have like 2 hit points and 1 spell per day. I don't think you need mechanics. I think they help, but I think the situation helps more. Like I said, isolate the characters, add tension. You can do those things without having to use a mechanic. The tension building for Shadowdark of the torch system works great though. And there's a lot of DCC horror games, adventures, a lot of DCC horror modules in general. I was trying to pick an example for a DCC horror module, and I could not find just one that I thought was like the best example. I'm trying to think what were the scariest adventures I ran. And some of the scariest scenes I think in the games I ran were during the Chain Coffin and different moments in that campaign. But I can't say there's one adventure. But Chain Coffin is a fantastic adventure. It has some fun Appalachian horror stuff in there interspersed. So yeah, don't need mechanics. All right. Ryan, sorry, Cooper's not going to GM. So next question. All right, from Brian. Aloha judges, sending this message to you from Cairns, Queensland, which is hot and humid like Florida. Questions. Have you developed any house rules when running Shadowdark, and what are they? Yes, quite a few. So today's mode or yesterday's mode of Hardy, where you have the extra hit points, I stole that one. The one mechanic, I think, the one house rule that I know gets mentioned the most because people keep tagging me in the Arcane Library Discord server is how I do XP for starting characters when their character has died. And we don't do this in the kids group or the teen group. They're going to get to experience this in the new game because I'm using this system for the new campaign, which is you don't earn XP at sessions you don't join. It's not group XP.
So it's more like the character wasn't there during that adventure.
Correct. Plus, when you die, you start back at either 0 XP, like 0, or alternatively,
you don't die.
XP that you've earned from carousing.
Or you just don't die at all.
So
it's just the optimal.
There's a system I've used for XP I've shared in the server where it is another way to get you to want to carouse because we track, it takes a little bit of fiddliness to it, a little bit of record keeping, but you track, you add them together, you separately tally how much XP you've earned from carousing. That is the amount of XP you start back at when you die with a new character. The idea being you've thrown so many parties that you attract better minions that want to join the party. So I can't remember what I named it, but that's the system. And people make notes about that, and it's cool because it's like they point to me about that. I like it. So I like when things I've done get played by other people. Scott says no XP if you don't play, and start at 0 if you die is how we always did back in the 70s. I didn't play in the 70s. We'll say that, but I did play in the. I was only alive for 1 year of that. I did play in the
Yeah,
in the
I wonder why.
So my pushback on the idea of starting at 0 if you die. Here's my pushback. I don't understand why a party of 6th, 7th, 8th level characters would hire a 1st level peon, right? They're going to hire someone with more experience. They're going to be able to hire someone more experience. And why can't that be the player character that you've got, the new player character? I think a mechanism to allow that it's not at 0, not at 1st level, but also isn't at the same level, I think makes sense. And I think it's more realistic. Like I hire people for work. I work in management. If I'm hiring a new manager, someone who's reached that level, I do not want someone who is no management experience whatsoever. I want someone who's at least done it, or at least done other things that can get them there. So if I'm like a 9th level manager, I don't want a 1st level manager in my immediate party. Let them work with other parties and join my party. What was that?
So wait, what was I gonna say?
I don't know. What am I gonna say?
Because I couldn't say at the time. I forgot now.
Cool.
So I don't know what I was gonna say.
All right. So yeah, that's the house rule that I'd say I'm most proud of. So Ryan said I think you can make they serve Brandlin Red and Shadows Under Devil's Reef pretty scary. Shadows Under Devil's Reef was a horror adventure, and wasn't they served Brandlin Red a horror adventure? They served Brandlin Red as a special adventure. That was my 100th DCC, my 100th finished DCC module was they served Brandlin Red. I have it framed. The whole module is framed in the room. So
just the whole module.
I shoved the whole thing in a frame. Yeah, that frame we have over there on the other side of the bookcase. It's Stephen Newton's sign.
Where?
It's on the other side of this bookcase here. It's the whole module's framed. Yeah, sure. And the hubris setting for DCC has some scary stuff, Ryan said. Moving back and forth from questions here. All right, moving back over to Brian's questions. 2, I'm still struggling to get into DCC Dying Earth, which looks very interesting at a glance, but at closer look becomes more difficult to prep and run for people, especially if they are not familiar with Dying Earth. Have you played or run Dying Earth recently? If so, do you have any tips on using the material? So first off, and even if not running a full Dying Earth adventure. So Jordan was here for like a second, if he's still here. Hi, Jordan. So Jordan's Jocular Junction, if you go to Jordan's videos, he has, I needed his videos to understand some of the classes for Dying Earth. They are fiddly. I think that DCC Dying Earth is like advanced DCC. It is definitely more mechanically squishy and chonky than traditional DCC. Definitely more so than Lankmar. So I think you have to understand the DCC, the Dying Earth fiction. So if you are going to get into Dying Earth, I think you need to read the Dying Earth novels or books and understand some of what Vance is going for, which is hard. Yeah, Jordan's even saying DCC Dying Earth is mechanically exhausting. I've played it once at Gen Con. Cooper played it once at Gen Con.
Was it the same Gen Con that we both played?
It was the adventure that we both played in, where you played the Wayfinder.
The one where I was pretty much useless.
But that's because we didn't understand how the Wayfinder worked.
So, I was kind of just there to get luck.
And the GM didn't quite explain grudge tokens. We were rolling lots of ones. We played one adventures.
You should go take his spot.
Anyway, so my tips on it is watch Jordan's videos on it, because like he delved into it. I do one of these days want to run a Dying Earth campaign. I would like to take a shot at all of the Dying Earth adventures, like I did with Lankmar. We finished all of the DCC Lankmar adventures that were out at the time. all of the Mutant Crawl Classic adventures at the time. We did it during the pandemic, and that was fantastic. And I'd like to do the same thing with Dying Earth at some point, but I have to be in a different brain space for that. And I have a hard time maintaining that, like a brain space for that kind of sci-fi fantasy for a long period of time. So it's a hard one for me. And I have other things on the horizon, like Hot Springs Island that I've never touched. I'm going to run that now. And running the gloaming adventure or campaign we're doing in Shadowdark, and my OSC campaign, which is all other kinds of things smattered in there. So Dying Earth is probably down the line, but I have it all. All right. Bonus round, buy, hold, or sell. How would you rate the following game books in terms of recommendations to buy? If you don't have them, hold if you do own them, or sell if you have them. Pathfinder. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I would. I'm not going to buy Pathfinder because I don't need that much crunch. If I owned it, I'd probably get rid of it just because I don't have room on my shelf for it. But maybe I'd hold it.
Would you play it?
Which Pathfinder, first edition or second edition? That's a tough question. But with second edition, I might keep it on the shelf just as a reference book or the one weird time. I don't play game. I don't like playing. I really realized I don't like being a player in RPGs. People offer, like, invite me like here and there. So I'll run this for you. It's like, that's okay.
Was the one at Gen Con the most recent game that you've played in? Or have you played in?
Yes. I will say there's a few examples that are different. And it just takes, I have to really into the setting. So my friend Mark ran a semi-long-term, it was definitely more than 20 sessions, campaign of Shadow the Demon Lord. And I loved that game. That game was awesome. But I really liked my character. I got really into my character. And it was just like one of those 1 in a million kind of campaigns, I guess. But typically I don't like playing unless I really know the GM. And I kind of let them know I don't like playing. I feel like I'm a jerk of a player. Shadow of the Weird Wizard. You know, I kind of, in some ways, wish I lived longer to be able to play every game on the shelf. I didn't get Shadow of the Weird Wizard because I played so much of Demon Lord. I didn't see a need to play Weird Wizard. It's just Demon Lord with the gross stuff stripped out. And I like the gross stuff, so I probably just keep playing Demon Lord. I guess I hold it, I keep it, I buy it. Well, I'm not gonna buy it, because I'm not gonna buy. I don't have enough. I don't need another I need another fantasy set. I need a hole in the head right now. But maybe I'd buy it, maybe, but not until I get rid of some of the crap over here, And then we just had how many BattleTech mechs just show up today? So. Our stuff for the BattleTech Mercenaries Kickstarter.
Let's just say,
you get our Instagram feed. It's a lot.
It's as much as can fit in a dog crate.
If you'd like to see what $2,000 of BattleTech stuff gets you, you could go to Instagram and look. It's a lot of stuff.
And then as an example and put it to the camera.
It's called. That was my bonus that year. Okay, Mouse Ritter. I don't know what Mouse Ritter is. Good Society, the Jane Austen RPG. Pass. Hard pass. Hard pass. Sell or not sell. You said buy if you don't have it, hold if you own it, or sell if you don't have it. What if you don't want it? You should be buy, hold, sell, or don't want to touch. A Jane Austen RPG. No, that's just not. No, I don't think so. Definitely no skin getting ripped off in a Jane Austen RPG. Brian, thank you for these questions.
That would be really sad for you.
Ryan crowd-funded Rift Savage Worlds. First time playing Savage Worlds. I hope you have a good time with it. I love Savage Worlds. Deadlands, which is all this stuff up here, and that dice thing, and that map. That's all. That's my whole Deadland. This is the Savage Worlds area of my bookshelf.
Let me see if I can get in a box. Wait.
This is Savage Worlds. Below that is random AD&D stuff, and over there is Shadowdark right here, and that's Dark Sun, which is the best D&D setting.
By the chair.
Dark Sun, and look right over here, that red book, these two red boxes, that is Dying Earth right there. I'm touching Dying Earth.
We have it.
I'm squishing the head of Dying Earth.
You're also making me get squished.
Yeah. Anyway, I hope you enjoy Savage Worlds. It's a great system. I like what's in Shadow Dark though. That I feel like luck tokens are bennies, and that's like my favorite mechanic from Savage Worlds. All right, that's our show. We're gonna wrap it up here. Ryan's Dark Sun and Planescape, my favorite settings. I'm gonna be hoping running more Shadow Dark Sun next year. So many things to run. I just don't have time. All right, so next week, no topic yet for next week.
Give us something.
We'll be
make us
past Halloween, hopefully. And Cooper, when I say the next thing, don't say anything about it. But just remember, a week from Tuesday, it's time to vote. We're not going to say anything about that, except for it's time to vote. All right?
You know what else it's time for?
What's the time for?
Sacrifice.
We're not at the goat sacrifice yet. Okay, we're at the just saying. So I don't think next Sunday is going to be an election themed show.
Yeah, that'd be like very controversial.
It'd be pretty controversial. But I'm trying what season we're in, and we're not quite to Thanksgiving yet. So we'd be open to suggestions. Be open to suggestions. We're getting closer to Thanksgiving, but we're not there yet. I could run through old campaign settings and scope them if they work for Shadowdark. The problem is I got things his kid's going to talk about and not just like stare at the screen and say he's not going to GM. So by next week, this time we'll have run one session of Hot Springs Island. So maybe Cooper, we could talk about the Ranger, possibly. Maybe we could, if we're still in a horror mood, maybe we'll discuss some more horror stuff. I think Ranger would be good. I think a dive into the Ranger, we did the Bard show. I think Ranger show would be a good show. The talk with the Ranger, and then Cooper takes notes for the show. Look at that! Look, that's Ryan just said it. I read it. I didn't come up with that, but Cooper wrote it. Look, Cooper takes notes for the show.
I can't take notes. I forget.
It's not hard. I'll show you how, because this is my notebook. This is my new notebook that I got at the Renaissance Festival.
See, I just forget to take any notes, and then you'd be left with show notes that
Hot Springs Island campaign notes. Look, I have a page for your character. Look, Seuss. Half-orc ranger, chaotic wanted, dagger specialist. So,
Jasuzio. We love Jasuzio.
All right. Daylight savings theme? That's terrible.
We'll talk about what it's like to have time be worse.
Time theme. Well, my Ravenloft campaign I ran in for 4th edition had time travel in it. So, all right. Upcoming events and cons besides PAX Unplugged, which my 2 games are now sold out for. I am running another Shadowdark game at the Runehammer store, the Runehammer app. Go get it. You can go sign up for it's Shadowdark with Judge James, what they're calling it, and there are seats available. It's on December 22nd at 1 p.m. All right. So if you'd like to go do that, do that. Ryan says Bob Brinkman is a crowdfunder going out now about a time-traveling lich. Can you post the link to that in the chat? Is that what you could do?
I mean, I don't think it'd be not allowed.
Yeah, do it. I was going to mention the Shadowdark process. From Shadowdark, Temple of the Green Devil, which I believe is the deluxe edition for Shadowdark RPG by, I believe, Source of Victory. And this is by Trident Games. That is a head-to-head death trap dungeon inspired by RPG tournaments of the 70s and 80s. So maybe that's for Scott. It's a 70s thing. I posted it below. It is Scott. It is Cersei. Okay. I was just like, I need a Kickstarter to share on today's show. I want to share something Shadowdarky, and I went and searched and saw it. So now I gotta go read it. But go check it out. All right. If we can, it's like the ad, but we're not compensating because there's no monetization here. Not that I'm looking for compensation, but I want to make sure you have a commercial, that'd be cool. All right. So that's it. So thank you all for joining and for hanging out with us. And what left L4C merch? Yeah, that's Sean Kid's back again.
Yeah, Sean's back.
There's no merch, man. I got like 1,800 subscribers. All right, this is like a nothing channel. But there's cool people here that hang out with us.
We got Halloween store knives.
We have Halloween store.
Just go to the Halloween.
There's
store.
no editing done. This is like the lowest tech channel ever.
We have an intro that we don't use.
You want a real channel? Go check out Jordan's channel. Like the dude's got like some awesome stuff. So anyway, till next time. So make sure to tip your bard, tip the wandering merchant, and we are now off to go sacrifice a goat to Shun the Vile. Maybe for Jasuziel, our new character in our new campaign, who worships Shun the Vile. So maybe he'll have a goat to sacrifice. Good night, everyone.